The station floated in silence around a pale blue world. It was old, slow, and careful, just like the people who worked inside it. Most of them were not human. Humans were allowed only simple jobs. They fixed panels, cleaned halls, and carried data boxes from one place to another. No one expected anything more from them. Aron worked in the deep archive, far below the bright levels where visitors walked. He liked the quiet. The archive smelled of cold metal and old air. Light strips ran along the floor and walls, soft and white. Shelves rose high, filled with objects from forgotten worlds. Some were broken machines. Some were art. Some were weapons that had not been touched for thousands of years. Aron moved slowly, checking a list on his wrist screen. He had been sent to prepare a section for review. That meant opening sealed cases and checking their condition. It was boring work, but Aron did not mind. No one watched him closely down here. A soft step echoed behind him. Aron turned. Lyra stood a few paces away. She was not human. Her skin was light gray, smooth like stone warmed by sun. Her eyes were large and dark, filled with curiosity more than fear. She carried a small data pad and looked far too excited for the archive. "You came again?" Aron said. "Yes," Lyra replied. "They let me study here today. Ancient items, forgotten cultures." Aron nodded. "Just don't touch anything. Most of it is sealed for a reason." Lyra smiled in a way that showed she did not plan to listen. "That is why I came with you." They walked together between the shelves. Lyra asked many questions. About Earth, about humans, about why humans accepted such small roles in the galaxy. Aron answered some and avoided others. He had learned that humans who spoke too much drew attention. They stopped in front of a tall case made of dark glass. Inside rested a long sword. It was simple in shape. Straight blade, narrow guard, no jewels, no bright colors. It looked old, but not weak. "What is this?" Lyra asked. Aron checked the label.
"Relic from Earth. Unknown age."
Found buried under stone and ash. Classified as ceremonial. Lyra frowned. Ceremonial weapons do not look like this. She tapped her pad and the case opened with a low sound. The sword rested on a metal stand. Even through the glass, Aron had always felt something strange near it, like the air was heavier. "They say the people who made it are gone," Aron said. "No records, no survivors."
Lyra leaned closer. "My teachers say humans were never warriors, that you were guided and protected."
Aron did not answer. The sword lay quiet. Dark metal, dull edge. No power readings. No active systems. It was dead, like it had been for 5,000 years. "Touch it," Lyra said softly. Aron looked at her. "That is not allowed." "No one is watching," she replied. Aron hesitated. Then he reached out. The moment his fingers touched the grip, the archive lights flickered. A low sound filled the room, deep and steady. The blade began to glow, not bright, but warm, like embers under ash. Lines appeared along its surface, symbols that moved like flowing water. Alarms screamed. The shelves shook. Data screens lit up with warnings. Aron stumbled back, but the sword did not let go. It pulled toward him, light growing stronger. The metal felt alive under his hand. Lyra stared in shock. That is not possible. Security drones dropped from the ceiling. Red lights scanned the room. "Unauthorized activation detected," a voice echoed. "Step away from the artifact." The sword answered first. A pulse of light spread outward. The drones froze, then fell to the floor, dark and silent. Aaron's heart pounded. Images flooded his mind. Stars, fire, human ships flying in tight lines, voices shouting commands in a language he somehow understood. He saw a man who looked like him, holding the same sword, standing before a burning sky. The light faded. The sword went quiet, but it did not release him. Lyra grabbed Aaron's arm. "We have to go, now!" They ran. Behind them, the archive doors sealed, and alarms echoed through the station. Systems that had slept for ages woke up. Old records unlocked themselves. Signals spread into space. Aaron did not understand what he had done. He only knew one thing. The sword had been waiting, and it had chosen him. Aaron ran through the dim corridors of the archive, the sword clutched tightly in his hand. Its faint glow guided them, cutting shadows across the cold walls. Lyra moved close beside him, her long legs carrying her easily over the uneven floor. The sound of alarms faded behind them, but the echoes of the sword's pulse stayed in the air. They reached a narrow service tunnel. It was unused for decades. Dust rose with each step. Pipes rattled above, dripping with condensation. Aaron felt the sword hum against his chest, as if it knew the way. He did not understand how, but he did not doubt it. "We can hide here," Lyra whispered. She pressed a small panel and a side door slid open. Inside was a small room with old machinery, dark and quiet. Aaron and Lyra stepped in, closing the door behind them. The sword's glow dimmed slightly, but the hum continued. Aaron lowered it slowly. He stared at the blade, noticing lines and symbols that moved in patterns. Some seemed like letters, others like flowing rivers of light. He did not know what they meant, but he felt a connection he could not explain. "Aaron," Lyra said, touching his arm. "I have to tell you something. This sword, it is not just a weapon. It is part of a legacy." "Your legacy." "Humans were never meant to be weak. They were guardians." Aaron laughed, a short, nervous sound. "Guardians? We are nothing workers." "Fixers. The sword just reacted. That does not make us heroes." Lyra shook her head. "It reacted to you because it knows who you are. The sword chooses its bearer, not by strength, but by something inside." "You have it." Aaron felt a chill run through him. "Something inside?" "I don't understand. The humans of old had power and wisdom. They built fleets, fought in wars, and kept peace across worlds. They were not rulers, they were protectors. Over time, other species grew jealous. They erased human history, scattered your kind, and kept you small. They thought it would be easier to control you." Aaron stared at the wall. He had never thought of humans that way. He had never believed the stories of old wars. They were just tales, myths, but now, holding the sword, he felt like the stories were real. More than real, they were part of him. Suddenly, the hum of the sword grew louder. The light along its blade flickered faster, sending shadows across the walls. The room temperature dropped. Lyra stepped back, her eyes wide. "It wants to show you something," she said. "It is memories of the past." Aaron held the sword tightly. Shapes appeared around him. Shadows moved like people fighting in lines. Ships flew through the air, bright trails marking their paths. He heard commands in a language he did not know. yet he understood. The visions showed humans working together, leading fleets, building cities on planets far from Earth. He saw a warrior who looked like him. Same brown hair, same quiet face. That warrior held a sword like his, standing before a burning sky. Around him, humans fought not for power, not for greed, but to protect something. Some ships fell, others held strong. The warrior never lowered his sword. Aaron gasped. The memories felt real. He could feel the heat of the fires, the weight of the blade, the fear and determination of the humans fighting. He had never known this history, but it was his own. "Aaron, look at me," Lyra said. "Do you understand? This is why the sword chose you." Ah. Ha. It recognized your blood, your spirit. You are part of this line. Aaron struggled to speak. "It feels real. But we are nothing now. We cannot fight like that." The sword pulsed in response. Lines of light spread across the walls. Symbols projected into the air, forming a map of stars and systems. A hidden star map appeared, one that did not exist in any record Aaron had seen. Lyra gasped. "That is impossible. Those stars, they are forbidden. No human has been there." "Not in thousands of years." Aaron studied the map. Lines connected stars in a pattern he did not understand, yet he knew it was important. The sword was guiding him, showing him where to go. Somewhere beyond the galaxy there was a place humans had once protected. A distant alarm echoed faintly through the tunnels. Security forces were still looking for them. They would come soon. The sword vibrated in Aaron's hand, faster and stronger. It wanted to move. It wanted to be somewhere else. "We cannot stay," Lyra said. "They will come. We have to leave the station. Now." Aaron nodded. He slung the sword over his shoulder and followed her. The service tunnels twisted and turned. Old lights flickering overhead. The hum of the sword guided him, giving confidence he had never known. They reached an emergency exit. Aaron pressed the controls. A hatch opened to the outer docking platform. The station's lights glinted off the metal surface. Outside, the galaxy stretched in blackness, distant stars shining cold and bright. Lyra led him to a small shuttle hidden behind crates. It was old, slow, but it would fly. Aaron helped her push the controls. The engines hissed and groaned as they powered up. Alarms blared from the station. Red lights flashed across the docking bay. Security drones were approaching. Lyra glanced at Aaron. "You have to trust yourself. The sword will help you." Aaron nodded, gripping the controls. The shuttle lifted, trembling, then floated toward the blackness of space. Behind them, the station glowed with alarm lights, but the sword's light seemed to cut through it, steady and calm. As they moved away, the sword pulsed faster. The star map projected from its tip, stretching across the shuttle's cockpit. Aaron stared at it, feeling a pull toward distant systems. Somewhere out there, humans had left their mark. Somewhere out there, his ancestors had waited for someone to remember them. Lyra sat beside him, eyes wide. "You are not just a human. You are the line of protectors. The galaxy may not know it yet, but you have begun to awaken." Aaron swallowed hard. He felt fear and wonder at the same time. The sword was more than a weapon. It was a key, a guide, and a challenge. Whatever lay ahead, he knew his life would never be simple again. The shuttle moved faster into the dark, carrying two figures and a glowing sword. The stars outside seemed to pulse with life, as if recognizing the sword's bearer. Every system they passed was part of a path that humans had left behind long ago. Aaron clenched the sword, feeling warmth flow into his hands. He looked at Lyra. "Where do we go?" She smiled faintly. "Where the sword leads, where humans left their mark. We followed the path of the forgotten, and we are not alone. Others will wake, and they will answer the call." As the shuttle disappeared into the black, the sword pulsed brighter. The memories of a long-lost past filled Aaron's mind. Not just battles, but the responsibility of protection. He felt the weight of it, but also the strength. In the silence of space, the first pulse of awakening spread across the stars. Somewhere other humans felt it too. Somewhere, hidden and waiting, the galaxy began to remember. The shuttle floated through the dark reaches of space, guided by the sword's glow. Aaron stared at the star map projected before him, tracing the lines with his finger. Each connection led to a system unmarked in any chart he had seen. He felt the sword's hum in his hand, steady and insistent, like it was breathing with him. Lyra studied the instruments, her eyes sharp. She did not speak much now. The sword's power and the unfolding map had silenced her usual chatter. She seemed to sense that something great waited for them, something older than memory. Days passed in silence. They moved from one hidden system to another, avoiding known trade routes and patrols. The sword pulsed when they approached a distant set of ruins. The stars around it seemed to shimmer, as if recognizing the energy that lay below. Aaron landed the shuttle carefully on the edge of a rocky planet. Dust clouds rose around them as the engines powered down. The ruins were enormous. Towers and walls, half buried in the ground, rose like broken teeth. Symbols carved into the stone matched the ones glowing on the sword. Every line and curve felt familiar. "This place," Lyra whispered. "It is older than the oldest records. It is human, but so few know it exists." Aaron carried the sword as they stepped into the ruins. The ground beneath their feet felt alive. Each step triggered echoes that sounded like whispers of the past. Walls shimmered with faint light, tracing shapes and patterns that moved like memories frozen in stone. They entered a large hall, the center of the ruin. Columns lined the walls, carved with human figures engaged in battle and construction, science and art. Aaron reached out, and the sword pulsed in response. Images appeared in the air, ships of old design, humans working in harmony, powerful yet calm. They were guardians, not rulers, humans who fought not for greed, but for balance. Suddenly a hidden panel opened in the floor. A soft light spilled upward. A figure stepped from the shadows. It was humanoid, taller than a human, metallic in parts. Its eyes glowed faintly blue. It spoke in a language Aaron did not know, but the meaning reached him clearly. "You are chosen," it said. "The sword has brought you. You carry the line of protectors. Only one with the blood of old can awaken this place." Aaron's heart pounded. "Why me? I am just a technician. I fix things." The figure tilted its head. "Your blood remembers. Your spirit remembers. Strength is not needed."
Awareness is enough. The AI moved forward.
It gestured, and the symbols on the walls lit fully. Stories flowed before Aaron's eyes. Battles across galaxies. Humans coordinating entire fleets, defending systems from destruction. They were feared, not for cruelty, but for their discipline and unity. Then came the betrayal. Other species, jealous of humans' quiet power, scattered them, erased their history, and suppressed their growth. Lyra stepped closer. They feared you. They wanted humans small. And now you have returned. Aaron felt the sword warm in his hands. He understood suddenly why it had chosen him. The sword was not just a weapon, it was a key, a guide, a link to a forgotten past. The AI spoke again. The sword has awakened you. You will need more than courage. You will need others to awaken as well. The galaxy will try to stop you, but you must not falter. Aaron swallowed hard. The weight of responsibility pressed on him. He had never led anything. He had never fought anything. And now he was expected to carry the legacy of a species that had shaped entire galaxies. The ground trembled. Outside, the sky of the planet darkened. Sensors on the AI indicated approaching fleets. Not human. Not allies. Other species had detected the activation of the ruins and had come to destroy it before it could awaken more humans. "Lyra, we have to protect this place," Aaron said.
"We cannot fight them alone," she replied. "We need the sword."
"And you must learn its full power." Aaron held the sword in both hands. Light spread along the walls, then outward into the open hall. Symbols flew from the blade, forming shields and barriers. The sword responded to his will without instruction. It seemed to know exactly what was needed, moving faster than thought, stronger than memory. Outside, enemy ships fired. Energy beams struck the ruins, but the sword's projection deflected them, forming protective fields. Rocks and debris rose into the air, guided by the sword's energy, and blocked the paths of the attackers. Lyra watched in awe. It is not just fighting. It is guiding you. It knows what you will do before you do it. The battle lasted hours, though to Aaron it felt like minutes. Each move of the sword projected visions of past battles, teaching him, guiding him. He realized that humans had never needed to learn from books alone. The sword carried knowledge through time, waiting for the right hands. Finally, the enemy fleets retreated. The shields faded, the ruins, though battered, stood tall. The AI moved toward Aaron. "You have survived the first test. Others will come. Some will awaken on their own, drawn by the call. Others will be lost if you cannot protect them." Aaron lowered the sword. It dimmed slightly, resting against his shoulder. He felt exhausted, yet more alive than ever. He looked at Lyra, who smiled faintly. "You are ready for what comes next. The path will not be easy, but it is the only path." Aaron nodded, staring out at the stars. Somewhere beyond, humans waited, hidden and unaware. He had to find them. He had to awaken them. The galaxy would remember the humans of old, or it would face consequences for trying to erase them. The AI projected one final image, a series of points across distant galaxies. Each point marked a location where humans had been scattered, waiting for a signal, waiting for someone to lead them. Aaron felt the weight of all those lives. Every point was a potential ally, a guardian in waiting. The sword pulsed once, strong and steady. Aaron knew he could not fail. He turned to Lyra. "We leave. We find them. We bring them back." She nodded. "And the galaxy will see what humans truly are." The ruins seemed to hum with life. The walls pulsed faintly, as if approving their choice. The sword glowed brighter, guiding them to the shuttle. Aaron carried it carefully, each step measured but confident. The legacy of the past had found its bearer. The future of humanity had begun its awakening. Aaron and Lyra traveled from system to system, following the guidance of the sword. Each star they passed seemed to respond, faint pulses of light marking their path. The sword led them to remote human colonies, places humans had long forgotten. When they arrived, something strange happened. Humans who had lived simple, ordinary lives began to feel a pull inside themselves. They could not explain it, but a sense of power and purpose awakened. The first settlement they visited was small, isolated, on a cold desert planet. The people were miners and workers. They had never seen an alien, much less a glowing sword. When Aaron stepped into the town with the sword, people stopped. Their eyes widened, and for a moment, no one spoke. Then the first tremor of awakening came. One man clutched his chest, breathing hard. A woman gasped and fell to her knees. The sword hummed in response, its glow brighter than ever. Aaron approached slowly. "Do not be afraid." People looked at him, unsure. Lyra stepped forward. "This sword calls to your blood. It wants you to remember who you are." A young man stood, eyes glowing faintly. "I feel it," he said. "Something inside, telling me to fight, not for myself, but for something greater." The sword pulsed. Aaron held it out, showing that it did not threaten. The people felt a warmth spread through them. It was as if the past and present joined together, and humans remembered their ancient strength. They were not soldiers in the old sense. They were guardians, protectors. The sword had awakened their potential. Word spread across colonies faster than anyone expected. Humans everywhere began to feel the same pull, strange sensations they could not ignore. Old machines started working without anyone touching them. Ships long abandoned lifted into the air. Records of past technology became readable to human minds without instruction. The awakening had begun. Not all reactions were calm. Alien governments noticed. Fleets were dispatched to investigate the disturbances. Lyra warned Aaron, "They will try to stop us. They cannot allow humans to awaken. They fear what they do not understand." Aaron felt the weight of responsibility pressing down. We cannot hide anymore. We must bring humans together. They need guidance. They need to understand the sword and its purpose. They moved from settlement to settlement. Each time more humans responded. Young and old, weak and strong. They all felt the call. They did not all react in the same way. Some were afraid, some excited, some angry, but all were connected to the same force, the same line of guardians. As more humans awakened, the alien fleets grew anxious. They sent patrols to the colonies, but the humans, guided by the sword, resisted without violence at first. They activated old defense systems, not to destroy, but to protect. Shields rose around towns, machines repaired themselves, and sensors warned of intruders. The alien patrols hesitated, unsure how to respond. Aaron trained with the sword constantly. It taught him not just combat, but strategy, patience, and awareness. Every movement he made was guided by visions of his ancestors. He learned to see threats before they arrived, and to guide others without words. Lyra watched, proud but cautious. Do not underestimate their fear. Some will fight back. Some will try to destroy what they cannot control. The first real confrontation came when an alien patrol attacked a human settlement on a green planet. Humans had awakened, but not fully.
They were frightened and scattered. Aaron raised the sword, and light spread across the valley.
The symbols projected shields, blocking beams and redirecting energy. The humans watched, amazed. They saw how to protect themselves and followed Aaron's silent guidance. The patrol retreated. It had not expected resistance. Humans had learned too quickly, and the sword amplified their instincts, their courage, their unity. Aaron realized then that the awakening was not just personal, it was collective. Aaron. The more humans who answered the call, the stronger the entire species became. Lyra took Aaron aside after the battle. You see what happens when humans begin to remember? The galaxy will not allow it quietly. Other species will act. They will send fleets, spies, even traitors among your kind.
We must be ready.
Aaron nodded. Then we gather more. We cannot let fear stop us. If humans are to protect themselves, they must know their history. They must accept the sword and what it teaches. Every settlement they visited joined the awakening. Children who had never seen combat felt strength coursing through their veins. Elders remembered skills they had never known existed. Communities reorganized themselves, not in anger, but in unity. They prepared defenses and learned to coordinate without orders. They were becoming the guardians their ancestors had been. The alien authorities grew desperate. They called meetings across their networks. Humanity cannot awaken, one commander said. It will upset the balance. If humans remember, they will reclaim what was lost. Their technology, their discipline, their fleets. We must intervene before it spreads further. Reports came in of human coordination across multiple systems. Fleets that had been abandoned or disassembled rose again. Old weapons activated. Records unlocked. Humans were no longer passive subjects. The first waves of awakening had shown what was possible. Aaron felt the responsibility keenly. Every choice he made affected thousands, perhaps millions. He began teaching the humans to trust themselves, to act as a unit, to understand that their strength came not from domination, but from protection. The sword was a guide, but it could not fight alone. It needed human will to give it power. Through it all, Lyra stood by him. She taught history, strategy, and caution. You cannot force humans to awaken, she said. They must answer the call willingly. Only then will the true power emerge. As the days passed, the awakening spread faster than Iran had imagined. Colonies previously isolated, now connected. Messages flew between worlds, forming a network. Humans learned to defend themselves without violence first, showing that their ancestors had valued wisdom over power. The sword pulsed with pride and recognition, amplifying their abilities and courage. One night, Aaron stood on the shuttle, looking out at the stars. He felt a pulse of energy from the sword. Somewhere, a human child across the galaxy had felt it. Another piece of the awakening had begun. The network was growing. Humans everywhere were remembering their potential. He smiled faintly, knowing the galaxy had begun to change. But he also knew that challenges lay ahead. Alien powers would not stand by. They feared what humans could become. Aaron clenched the sword and turned to Lyra. We continue. We gather them all. The awakening is only the beginning. Lyra nodded. And when they are ready, the galaxy will see that humans were never weak. They were always waiting. The sword pulsed softly like a heartbeat. The stars beyond seemed to shine a little brighter. The future of humanity was awakening, and nothing would be the same again. Aaron guided the humans through space, following the sword's glowing map. The colonies they had awakened had begun to connect, forming a network. Humans communicated, shared knowledge, and coordinated defenses. Ships long abandoned lifted from dry docks. Energy systems flickered to life, and records locked for centuries became accessible. The galaxy slowly noticed the change. Alien fleets moved cautiously at first, sending scouts and small patrols. They had never seen humans act like this. Reports reached command centers. Settlements defended themselves without training. Machines operated automatically, and strange lights protected the colonies. Aaron understood that humans were remembering not just how to survive, but how to act as a single unit. The sword amplified their instincts and courage. Aaron held the sword on the bridge of the largest awakened colony. Lyra stood beside him. "They are ready," she said. "But not all humans will answer the call. Some will be afraid. Some will resist." Aaron nodded. "We cannot force them. We guide. We show. And when the time comes, we act." He turned to the monitors. Hundreds of ships from different human colonies formed lines. Their designs were simple but effective. Systems long abandoned functioned without external power. The sword pulsed, sending light and guidance through every human connected to its energy. Aaron felt it as a heartbeat, steady and strong. The first real test came soon. A large fleet of alien warships approached a human-controlled system. The humans had been growing, but this was a direct challenge. The fleet's weapons glowed ominously. Energy beams streaked across space, aimed at human stations. Aaron raised the sword. Symbols projected from it, forming shields around the stations. Energy fields spread to the ships, guiding human pilots, deflecting attacks, and providing balance to systems that were untrained or damaged. The humans fought not with anger, but with precision. Aaron could see the flow of battle through the sword. It guided movements, predicted enemy maneuvers, and coordinated actions across thousands of kilometers. Humans had never fought like this before, yet they moved as if they had always known how. Each ship, each pilot, each station acted in harmony. Lyra monitored the communications. "The alien commanders are confused." They do not understand. Their strikes are being turned against them without humans firing a shot in anger. This is the first time they have faced organized human strategy. Aaron felt the sword vibrate in his hands. Symbols traced the ships, showing arcs of defense and paths of safety. Humans avoided traps and ambushes instinctively. Shields pulsed just before enemy beams would strike, and the humans countered with precise maneuvers. They did not kill unless necessary, but they defended everything they had built. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Slowly, the alien fleet began to retreat. Their weapons lost precision. Systems failed under the coordination of human defenses. They had expected disorganized humans, weak and fearful. Instead, they faced guardians who remembered a power thought erased for thousands of years. The sword pulsed brightly, its light flowing through Aaron and across the ships. He realized it was not just guiding him, but teaching. Every movement, every strategy, every decision was part of a long memory encoded in the sword. He understood tactics he had never learned, history he had never studied. The sword carried the knowledge of millennia. After the battle, the humans gathered in the largest space station. Aaron addressed them. "You have seen your power. You have felt the sword's guidance. You are not weak."
You are guardians, protectors.
The galaxy tried to erase you, but now you remember. We fight to defend, not conquer. We fight to survive, to unite, and to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The humans cheered, but their voices were tempered with understanding. They had power, but with it came responsibility. The sword's glow pulsed gently, a reminder that strength was not for destruction. It was for balance. Lyra stepped forward. "Other species will act. They will send spies and soldiers.
They will try to divide you. You must trust yourselves and each other.
The sword will guide, but your will is the true force. Aaron nodded. We will not fail. We protect, we guide, and we awaken others. The galaxy will know that humans are not weak. They are a force of guardianship, not tyranny. The next weeks were a period of organization. Colonies sent delegates to meet and coordinate. They built fleets, repaired stations, and learned to communicate without relying on alien systems. Old knowledge, long forgotten, became accessible. Children and elders alike felt the power of the sword and their connection to the past. Humans who had never left their home planets now moved among the stars with confidence. Alien powers grew concerned. Reports of human coordination, defense systems, and awakened fleets reached command centers. Meetings were held across galaxies. Humans cannot be allowed to continue, one commander said. They were weak before. Now they remember. If we do not act, they will challenge the balance of power. But Aaron and Lyra did not wait for attacks. They continued to awaken humans, connecting the scattered colonies, teaching them to defend, and preparing them to face any threat. The sword glowed with approval. Humans learned to coordinate silently, efficiently, and with respect for their own power. Every activation of the sword strengthened the network. One night, Aaron stood alone on the deck of the central ship. He held the sword, feeling its hum in his chest. The stars outside seemed alive, connected to him. Somewhere far away, humans he had never met felt the same energy. The awakening had spread across the galaxy, and the future was theirs to shape. Lyra joined him. You have done more than awaken humans. You have given them a choice, a memory, a purpose. Aaron nodded. And we have only begun. Others will awaken. The galaxy will see that humans are not weak, and they will remember the guardians we were meant to be. The sword pulsed brighter, almost like a heartbeat. Aaron knew that with it, humans could face any challenge. They could rebuild what was lost and protect what mattered. The alien fleets would return, but this time, humans would not fear. They would fight with wisdom, unity, and courage, and the sword would guide them, as it had for millennia. The awakening had reached a point of no return. The galaxy was changing. Humanity, once scattered and suppressed, now rose with purpose. Aaron held the sword high, feeling the strength of countless generations flowing through him. The humans were ready. They would defend, unite, and remember. The future of the galaxy rested in the hands of those who had finally awakened, and Aaron knew they would not fail. Aaron stood on the deck of the Central Fleet ship, holding the sword. Its glow was strong, illuminating his face and reflecting in the eyes of the humans around him. The stars outside seemed alive, connected to the energy of the sword and the awakening humans. Every colony they had visited had joined the network. Humans everywhere were beginning to remember, to reclaim the legacy that had been stolen. Lyra stepped beside him. "The final awakening begins," she said. "The last humans scattered across the galaxy will answer the call." Aaron nodded. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him, heavier than ever. The sword pulsed, sending waves of energy that reached across the stars. Humans who had never known their history felt it. Children and elders, workers and scholars, all felt the pull of their ancestors. Memories they had never known flashed in their minds: skills, knowledge, courage, and purpose. The first signs appeared on a cold world far from the central colonies. Humans there had lived in isolation for generations. They looked up at the sky and felt an unexplainable warmth. Machines long broken powered on. Ships that had never flown again lifted from their docks. Humans took to the stars with newfound confidence. The sword's energy reached them, and they knew their place in the galaxy. Meanwhile, alien powers sensed the full awakening. They gathered fleets larger than any before. Commanders spoke urgently. Humanity is remembering. They are no longer weak. We must act now before they unite fully. But Iran and Lyra were ready. They had coordinated defenses, prepared fleets, and awakened humans across dozens of systems. They had trained not just soldiers, but guardians, humans who understood the importance of protection, balance, and unity. The first confrontation came when a massive alien fleet approached a strategic system. The humans were ready. Shields rose, guided by the sword. Ships moved in perfect coordination, avoiding attacks and positioning themselves for defense. Humans who had never commanded before now led formations, anticipating moves before they happened. The sword pulsed, sharing knowledge from the past, guiding each decision with precision. Aaron held the sword high, projecting symbols that filled the sky with light. The aliens fired, but their beams struck energy fields that deflected and returned them. Ships glided as if they were aware of every threat. The humans fought with calm precision, never reckless, never cruel. The sword amplified their instincts, but the humans provided the will. Together, they became unstoppable. After hours of engagement, the alien fleet began to retreat. They had expected disorganized humans, weak and fearful. Instead, they faced a coordinated force, guided by centuries of memory, a species rising to claim its place. Humans did not pursue the enemy aggressively. They held their positions, showing discipline and strategy. They were guardians, not conquerors. The battle over, humans celebrated quietly. They did not gloat. They had defended, learned, and proven themselves. Aaron addressed the gathered fleet. You have seen your strength. You have felt your connection to the past. You are not weak. You are guardians. The galaxy tried to erase us, but now we remember. We protect, we unite, and we awaken those still hidden. Lyra stepped forward. Other humans will answer the call soon. Those scattered across distant systems will feel the sword's energy. They will join us. And when they do, the galaxy will see the true power of humanity. The sword pulsed brighter, almost like a heartbeat. Iran could feel the energy flowing into every awakened human. Memories of battles, of leadership, of protection and wisdom filled their minds. Children saw visions of stars they had never visited. Elders remembered skills they had thought lost. Humans became whole, remembering the power that had been their birthright. Weeks passed. Every isolated human settlement began to join the network. Ships lifted from abandoned ports, energy systems activated, and knowledge long lost was recovered. Humans coordinated across distances that had once seemed impossible. They learned to act together without needing orders, guided by instinct and the sword's wisdom. Alien fleets tried to intervene, but each attempt was met with resistance. The humans were not aggressive, but their defenses were precise and powerful. The sword guided, but the humans decided. Every move was calculated, every action measured. The alien powers could not understand the calm strength of a species rising from near extinction. Finally, the last scattered humans answered the call. A child on a distant world reached for a faint glow in the sky, feeling an instinctive pull. A small community of humans felt the energy and knew that their time had come. Machines powered on, ships lifted, and humans looked up at the stars with recognition. The network was complete. The awakening was finished. Aaron lowered the sword, feeling its energy calm. He looked at Lyra. It is done. Humanity has remembered. We are no longer weak. We are guardians, and the galaxy will know it. Lyra smiled faintly. The sword has done its work. Now it rests. It will shine again when needed. But for now, humans must act with their own will. Aaron nodded. He turned to the fleet, seeing humans of every age and skill. They were united, disciplined, and aware. The galaxy had changed. Humans no longer waited to be told what to do. They acted with purpose and wisdom, guided by the memory of their ancestors. The sword dimmed, resting in Aaron's hands, a reminder of what had been achieved. The stars outside reflected its soft light, and humans looked out at the galaxy with confidence. They would rebuild, protect, and remember. The species that had been suppressed, scattered, and controlled had risen, and nothing would be the same again. In silence, Aaron walked away from the edge of the fleet, the sword in his hands. He felt the weight of generations and the hope for the future. Humanity had awakened fully. They were guardians, not conquerors, and the galaxy, for the first time in millennia, would remember the humans of old and the legacy they carried.